Okay, welcome to the December 6th City Council meeting. We're going to start with the flag salute led by our Councilman Walt Pocock. If you'd please stand and join us.
Please face the flag, put your right hand over your heart, and follow me. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Okay. With us this evening, we have our Chino Community Choir, and they're our chorus, and they're going to play a few beautiful Christmas songs for us.
Hello. Oh, there we go. Hello, I'm Rebecca Gordon, and I'm the director of the Chino Valley Community Chorus, and we are so happy to be performing again after a 2-year hiatus. And we're going to sing for you tonight, We Need a Little Christmas from the musical MAME. Thank you. Our next number is called Carol of the Kings, and it's a combination, or as the kids say, a mashup of Carol of the Bells and We Three Kings. So here is Carol of the Kings.
Okay, one more. Maybe one more.
We have a fun one to end on. It's called On the Roof, and it's a 60s kind of a doo-wop. Enjoy.
Tried to get some sleep, but a noise upon the roof. On the roof. I saw Santa Claus. Yes, I did. I saw Santa Claus. Whoa. On the roof. Yes, I did.
That was really good. And doo-wop is good. People in my generation will remember that. Okay, we're going to take a short break, and then we'll return. We'll continue with the ceremonials. Thank you guys for coming.
Great job, you
That
guys.
was fun.
Thank you.
That was cute.
Thank you, guys. Yeah,
You too. You too. Take care.
that was great.
Okay, we're back. Our first presentation this evening is the 2022 Chino Sports Legend Youth Volunteer Award winner. This recognition is awarded to an individual who has dedicated a minimum of 5 years as a volunteer to a Chino-based youth sports group. Nominees are considered for their demonstrated leadership, teaching ability, dedication to the youth, sportsmanship, and positive coaching. The 2022 Sports Legend Award winner this year is Vince Alamillo of the Chino National Little League. Vince, I'd like you and your family to come up, please. Vince was born and raised in the city of Chino and has spent decades investing in the youth in our city through sports. He is truly what people call a Chinoan. He has lived in Chino his entire life and has been dedicated to Chino National Little League for over 25 years. You don't look old enough. Vince has volunteered thousands of hours as a mentor and coach. He's invested in our youth by teaching them the rewards of hard work and perseverance. He's taught them how to play ball, love the sport, have a positive attitude, and showcase good character while ensuring they maintain good grades. Even after his children aged out years ago, Vince continued to coach and has served in about every position on the board. He's spent countless hours daily and weekly ensuring the fields are game ready and in great playing condition by mowing, weeding, chalking, and more. You do it all. Vince is a great example to the players and coaches of Chino National Little League who look up to and admire him for his dedication for decades to the Chino youth sports. Congratulations to Vince Alamillo of the 2022 Chino Sports Legend Youth Volunteer Award recipient. And here is a plaque, and it reads, City of Chino Sports Legend Youth Volunteer Award presented to Vince Alamillo in recognition of your many years of dedicated service to the youth of Chino for 2022. We also have a certificate of special congressional recognition from Norma Torres, and it reads, which also Vince is going to be our Grand Marshal for our parade on Saturday. And this reads, in recognition of your distinction as Grand Marshal for the City of Chino Youth Christmas Parade and Fair. Your commitment and dedication to the annual Chino Sports Legends paved the way for others to fulfill their dreams. Thank you for your invaluable service to our community. Dated the 6th day of December 2022, Congressman Norma Torres.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is my son, Austin Alamillo, and then I have a second son, Dominic Alamillo. They both play Chino National Little League. I want to thank you, Eunice. I'm truly honored. And thank you, council members. It does mean a lot to me. And I'd like to thank my CNLL family. President Allison Scott, and Vice President Kevin Cisneros. Thank you guys for nominating me. Former players of mine, I appreciate it. I've also played against players that are now in the city officials. And I thank you guys. I also thank the City of Chino staff. Thank you, Ted. And I would like to thank my my own personal family, my two sons that got me involved in coaching, and the reason I wake up every morning. So thank you again, the City of Chino, very much.
You know, Vince is exactly a prime example of what makes Chino special. We have people that have grown up here and lived here their whole life, but they dedicate themselves to the community as well, care about the young kids, and set great examples for those growing up. So thank you very much for all of your service. Thank you. He brought his fan club, can you tell? Our next award are the 2022 City of Chino photo contest winners. Congratulations to our 2022 City of Chino photo contest winners. Thank you for sharing your perspective of the Chino community and culture through your lens, your camera lens, that is. We received over 100 submissions, and we're excited to recognize the winning photos here this evening. Each winner will receive a gift certificate, or a certificate and a Chino goodie bag with a gift certificate from a local Chino eatery. Their photos may also be used in city marketing materials and on our website. For the first category, we have Chino's Animals. The winning photo was Sunset at the Dairy Farm by Elise Rawl. Elise, would you please come up? Certificate reads, the City of Chino is proud to recognize your winning photo contest entry, Chino Animals, Sunset at the Dairy Farm. Thank you for participating. And then stay up here for a photo, group photo, okay? And here's your goodie bag. It has a Chinopoly game in it. Okay, our next category is Chino Living. We have a photo called Sunset Run by Shannon Hoover. Shannon, would you like to come up? Here's a certificate and a goodie bag. Stay up here, please. Okay, here, move over. We're going to get a group photo. Okay, next, for the category Chino Nature and Landmarks, we have a photo entitled Strawberry Fields by Gilbert Martinez. Gilbert, would you please come forward? You know those fields very well, don't you? Stay up here. No, stay here. Here's your goodie bag. Now, we had one more category. It was Chino Fun, and we had the photo, Whoa, Hang On Tight, by Emily Secusium, but she was not able to attend this evening. Do we have her photo? Are we going to show it? There it is. So these are three of our photo winners. So let's give them all a hand. We'll get a group photo. So anxious to run off. Do you have a few words to say?
Just thank you for this award, and see a lot of familiar faces. Chief, Officer, what is it, Lieutenant now, Menson? Captain, I'm sorry, I only saw one bar, so, and a few of the other faces in there, so it's nice to be here.
How many years did you work for us?
7 years.
7 years he was with us. Shannon?
I'm just excited to get to do this. I think it's wonderful that you're going to be promoting Chino, so I'm excited about all the pictures and stuff.
Yeah, thanks so much. I'm so glad that my photo now gets to be appreciated by more than just I, as we recognize our dairy farms that are slowly leaving.
Thank you all for coming down this evening. Thank you. Next, we have our Business of the Month Award, December 2022. The owners of this small family-owned shop and Business of the Month submission has been described as hard workers, genuinely honest, and caring for the people in the community. They provide a necessary service for those who live in Chino, but like many service businesses, are often overlooked. For the month of December 2022, we would like to recognize Chino Riverside Cleaners as our business of the month. Will the owner of Chino Riverside Cleaners, Omega Chakra Socho, this is a harder name than mine, please join me up front. A hard name. This locally owned cleaner and laundry is operated by a husband and wife team. Their business on Riverside Drive provides dry cleaning, laundry, and alteration services. Chino Riverside Cleaners has been open for 57 years and has been owned by this month's award recipients for the last 14 years. This neighborhood business is a longtime supporter of the Chino High School Band, Ayala High School Band, and Magnolia Junior High School. The owners of the Chino Riverside Cleaners appreciate the contributions of our military and first responders by offering discounts to local law enforcement, fire personnel, and our nation's military. As a community business and Chino resident, Chino Riverside Cleaners strive to use local equipment repair services and encourage their clients to frequent other local businesses. The owners have lived in Chino for 21 years, and despite having previously owned other cleaners in other cities, they are intentional about establishing and operating a business in their hometown. This, of course, also made the commute shorter, but it was more about being part of and investing in their hometown. Let's congratulate Chino Riverside Cleaners for being a quality service provider of dry cleaning to Chino and for being our December 2022 Business of the Month recipient. We'd like to give you this plaque, which reads, Chino Riverside Cleaners, December 2022, Chino Business of the Month. The City of Chino thanks you for being a part of the Chino community.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's our honor to receive this recognition. My wife and I have been in the business in Chino for about 35 years. We live in Chino and we love this community. Thank you again. It means a lot for us.
Thank you for your dedication. Thank you very much. Okay. Next, we have the Mayor's Home Beautification Award for December 2022. It's the Kerber family of 6689 Fillmore Street. They were unable to be here this evening, but I think we're going to post a picture of their home, and they'll receive, you know, the pens and pencil sets and lapel pins and of course, the coveted award that goes in their yard. Next, we have another special presentation. Councilman Pocock, would you please come down here? Do you have any family members here this evening? No? Okay. You're solo. As a final parting gift, we would like to present Councilmember Walt Pocock with his very own parking space sign. So on behalf of the great city and the City Council, we want to thank you, Walt, for your years of public service and the amazing impact that you've made, and we wish you all the best in the future. You know, this man created the Chino Corn Feed Run, which is phenomenally successful. I mean, even from the very first year, right? Which again, you know, it's really fun to go to the Corn Feed Run because we have so many locals that go. And it ends up being this massive family reunion. So I don't know, Walt, you have done a fantastic job. I want to thank you for serving on the City Council for as long as you have, and we wish you the best in the future. You get to talk.
Well, thank you. I was wondering what happened to this sign. I thought, well, they're just kicking me out earlier. Oh, but thank you for letting me serve on the City Council and all the other commissions that I've served on and doing all the other services. I love Chino, And I love all you guys, and it's just great to be able to be here. And thank you so much for this sign with my name on it, Mayor.
Now, Walt has that absolutely beautiful red Ford truck. What year is that truck?
1956.
56. And of course, it's always at the Corn Feed Run as well as other car shows that he goes to.
We'll be in the parade with it, too.
Yep, he'll be
Yep.
in the parade with it, so you have to hoot and holler at him. But I'm sure that parking sign is going to be either in your driveway or in your garage, right?
If I'm afraid to put it in the driveway, code might get me, so I'll have to put it in the garage.
Oh my gosh, that's sad. Wow. Okay. City Manager Linda Reich, do we have any agenda additions or revisions?
No changes tonight, Mayor.
Okay, very good. So for public announcements, Chino Youth Parade. First, I want to remind everyone that this Saturday, December 10th, is the city's highly anticipated annual Chino Youth Christmas Parade and Fair. The parade will start at 9 a.m. and will start at the corner of Monte Vista Avenue and Riverside Drive. The parade will then head east on Riverside Drive, turn south on Central Avenue, and finish at the corner of Central and Chino Avenues right in front of Chino Civic Center. Also beginning at 9 a.m. is our Christmas Fair. This will be occurring right in the heart of our Civic Center. Throughout the day, even more fun events are scheduled, including Santa's Village at the Youth Museum, outstanding food vendors, and family entertainment. For more information, please contact our Community Services Department at 909-334-3258. Also, with Christmas and New Year's just around the corner, I would like everyone to keep in mind slight modifications to our normal scheduling. First, in observation of Christmas, City Hall will be closed at noon on Friday, December 23rd, in observation of Christmas Eve. City Hall will be closed on Monday, also December 26th, in observation of Christmas Day. City Hall will then reopen the following day on Tuesday, December 27th, at its regular operating hours of 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. To observe the New Year's holidays, City Hall will be closed at noon on Friday, December 30th, again in observation of New Year's Eve. Also be closed on Monday, January 2nd, in observation of New Year's Day. And City Hall will then reopen at its regular operating hours of 7:30 to 5:30 p.m. on Tuesday, January 3rd. Now, additionally, since the second regularly scheduled City Council meeting for December falls very close to Christmas Day, we'll be canceling the December 20th regular City Council meeting and instead hold a special called meeting on Tuesday, December 13th, which is a week from tonight, at 7 o'clock in these council chambers. For more information, please call the City Clerk's office at 909-334-3306. Finally, it goes without saying that the City of Chino is an outstanding community that more and more families and businesses want to join. This demand to be part of our community has led to significant growth, and Chino being included as one of the top 10 boom towns in the United States. This growth and our continuous efforts to provide housing and jobs caught the attention of CBS KCAL News, who ran a story on our success this past weekend. And at this time, I'd like to share that story with you.
Cities in the Inland Empire have landed on the list of the top boom towns in the entire country.
KCAL 9's Joy Benedict shows you why people are flocking to Chino and Menifee.
There's a hustle in the air on this Friday night in Chino. Streets and plazas packed like this city hasn't seen in years past.
Nice area, brand new shopping center, so I can see why people are moving here for sure.
In fact, Chino has been named a top 10 boomtown in America.
We're very unique. Chino is a really unique community, and I think we're probably the best undiscovered gem in California, which is really cool.
Of course, being the mayor here for years may make Eunice Uloa a little biased. But now the website, smartasset.com, is giving her town some street cred, ranking Chino 10th in the nation for growth.
People are attracted to Chino because it's a very different community.
And it's easy to see the progress. New shopping plazas, housing developments, and industrial parks.
In-N-Out is relocating their major warehouse facility from Baldwin Park to Chino, which is gigantic. We have a brand new FedEx facility, and between the two, they're adding almost 1,000 jobs.
According to the new study, Chino saw housing growth of 30% in the last 5 years, and its average household income shot up 42%.
It's amazing. It's amazing, especially when you hear of the recession, people struggling. Yeah, it really is amazing.
If you think about over 5 years having household incomes grow that amount, I mean, that's really impactful.
Susanna Snyder is the managing editor for financial education at Smart Asset.
For somebody living in a boomtown, it shows you that you're in a place that's really booming. It's growing. There's population growth, there's business growth, there's low unemployment.
And although Chino came in 10th, another Inland Empire city ranked 7th.
I moved here in like 2013. Like it was a 7-Eleven on the corner, like a tumbleweed. And now there's like a lot of infrastructure now.
Menifee has seen a population growth of 20% and also saw household income soar 42%.
We finally got a Target and we were just so excited.
We're getting a mall and we're getting the biggest screen movie theater in California. That's pretty fast growing.
Booming as people come searching for something different and then choose to stay.
The houses here are way bigger than anything towards LA for sure, and they're nice and new.
According to smartasset.com, the majority of their top booming towns are actually in the west and the south, with that top spot going to Nampa, Idaho. From Chino, I'm Joy Benedict, KCAL 9 News.
You know, she took excerpts of about a half an hour of an interview. It was fun. It was fun to talk to her. And the cameraman actually lives in Chino Hills. And I told him, you have permission, you can move to Chino. But I don't know. You know, I'm really proud of our population growth and the income growth, but I have to be honest with you, I miss the dairies. I really do. I miss them. Okay, next on our agenda is public. Oh, yes,
Could I
sir.
interrupt for a minute and ask to report out of closed session that we had at the special council
Well,
meeting?
maybe.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Fred. if
Thank you.
have to.
The city council met in closed session at a special called city council meeting just before this regular meeting and discussed the two items on that special city council agenda, beginning with item 1, conference with labor negotiators concerning the employee organizations of Chino Police Officers Association, Chino Police Management Association, and unrepresented sworn. City council received a briefing and provided direction on those negotiations, and no further reportable action was taken. Finally, the city council met on item number 2, conference with legal counsel. One item of an existing litigation concerning the Norma Alcantar Moreno versus City of Chino matter. City council received an update, provided direction, and no further reportable action was taken. Thank you, Mayor. That concludes the report.
Sorry, I forgot about you, Fred. Okay, next on the agenda is public comments, and this is the time and the place for the general public to address the council on issues that do not appear elsewhere on the agenda. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the council on any item that's not on the agenda? Okay, seeing to me. Is that a non-agenda item? Okay, great. Okay, I will call on you in just a minute. Our first item, a written request, is Charlene King. Now, she's going to lead us in an invocation, and I invite anyone who would like to join us to please stand. Charlene King is from Isaiah's Rock.
First, I just want to say what a wonderful night it's
The microphone's not on.
Is it on? I'd like to say what a wonderful night it's been, and I'd like to say thank you, Father, for bringing us all together this evening to light the tree, which represents unity in our community, Christmas, and many more things. Thank you for our city council, our mayor, management, staff, our police and fire department. Thank you for all the residents that make this a beautiful community. And thank you most of all, Father, that I think your hand is over our city. And when I asked God what I should say today, when I was asked to pray, he just said to ask everybody to say the Lord's Prayer with me, because it's the most powerful prayer that we can say. So if you'll all join me. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. In his name we pray. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Charlene. Okay, next on the agenda is the consent calendar. Do any council members wish to have any items pulled? Okay, seen, Chris? No? Okay. Then I would entertain a motion in a second. Okay, there's a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Lucio, second from Councilperson Comstock, and the consent calendar passes unanimously. Under public hearings, item number 15, introduction of ordinance number 2022-018. This is an introduction of ordinance number 2022-018, amending chapter 10.28.065 of the Chino Municipal Code to allow for street sweeping parking restrictions citywide. First, I'd like to open the public hearing and then ask for a staff report from our city traffic engineer, Dennis Rawls.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Tonight is one of the next steps in trying to deliver citywide street sweeping services that are currently being blocked by on-street parking in several neighborhoods. So with that, I'd like to begin with the California Vehicle Code allows cities to have ordinances and resolutions to prohibit on-street parking for street sweeping purposes. The Chino Municipal Code, Chapter 10.28.65 defines areas in Chino that are allowed to have parking prohibited for street sweeping services. Yes, no problem.
I have a written request to speak under public communication, and
Yes.
I forgot. I apologize.
No worries.
You didn't put your name down, but I'd like to call you up on behalf of Norma Torres. I apologize. I just got carried away.
Mulligan, Dennis, you'll get a do-over in a minute.
At this time, we would close the public hearing, and then we will
turn it back
reopen
to
it.
public
Yes, thank you.
communication. Sorry.
It's okay. Didn't have to be the bad guy. I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Good evening, City Council, Mayor, staff, and community. I am Jackie Elizalde, and I am a field representative for Congresswoman Norma J. Torres, who represents the Congressional 35th District. I just wanted to take this opportunity to formally introduce myself and meet all of you in person. I did get to meet the mayor at the fireworks spectacular, which was phenomenal. I had such a great time, and I couldn't believe all the community that came together that day. So thank you for that. And additionally, I just wanted to share a few grant opportunities that are made available to cities like Chino in support of improvements to local waste management systems and recycling education and outreach. So there's the Solid Waste Infrastructure for Recycling, which is called the SWIFR grant, and that is now seeking applications, which includes, in one instance, $40 million in funding that is available for counties, cities like Chino, towns, parishes, and similar units of government to fund projects that improve post-consumer materials management and infrastructure, including collection, transport systems, and processes related to post-use materials that can be recovered, reused, recycled, repaired, refurbished, or composted. And pretty much that's it. I just wanted, like I said, make a formal introduction and thank you for your time and for your service to the city of Chino. And I am always smiling when I come here to the city of Chino. So you guys all have a good night.
Well, thank you, Jackie, and I apologize for skipping you. Okay, I'll reopen the public hearing then for item number 15 and ask Dennis to continue with the report.
No problem. As I was saying, so the city is proceeding with trying to implement parking restrictions for street sweeping services. The vehicle code allows us to do this with ordinance or resolution, and has done so back in 2005 as we were developing College Park and the preserve. Currently in our municipal code, those two communities are the only communities in Chino that are identified in our municipal code to have parking prohibited for street sweeping purposes. So as the city moves forward with trying to implement installing no parking signs for street sweeping, it's important that we modify this code to allow it to occur citywide. So tonight before you, for your consideration, is to change the code, simply really just removing the identification of those two communities and setting it up so that those parking prohibitions can be done citywide. This is only the next step in that process. There's still a long way to go for staff to identify where signs have to be installed. Logistically, making this happen citywide is a bit of a challenge for us, so we're still working through that process. The PR campaign, the outreach to let the residents know that we are moving forward with this is still in the works. And the phased rollout of this is still coming up, so just so the public's aware, tonight is just about adopting a new code that will allow us to do this citywide. Next slide, please. So this is sort of the map of the new street sweeping map that's prepared as part of this ordinance. With the ordinance, the resolution, this exhibit, and I kind of broke it up so that I can fit everything on one screen for you guys. It's not meant to be readable here. A more legible one is in the staff report and will be available online. By and large, this is mostly the same dates and times our residents have. There's some small changes in an industrial area just north of College Park that were meant to sort of streamline the street sweeping. As we were discussing this process with our street sweeping contractor, they expressed there's a couple days of the week where they're overstretched, and so we rebalanced that with this new map. With that ordinance and resolution change tonight, staff recommends that the City Council approve the new ordinance and resolution as identified in the staff report. I'm happy to answer any questions you have, and that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the council on this item? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Questions from council members or comments? Okay, then I will call for a motion in a second. Okay, we have a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Lucio and a second from Councilman Flores. Mr. Galante, would you please read the ordinance by title into the record?
Thank you, Mayor. I knew you would not
because
forget.
I screw up sometimes and don't do it right.
Before the council is ordinance number 2022-018, entitled An Ordinance of the City of Chino, California, amending Chapter 10.28.065 of the Chino Municipal Code to allow parking restrictions for street sweeping purposes citywide. And that's being done by reading of the title only and waiving further reading. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Fred. Now, we will be going through a lot of different meetings about this, and so the public will definitely be involved. It is rather complicated, but as you know, without having the traffic removed from the streets, we can't clean them. And some of the streets get pretty messy. And so this is going to help beautify our community a lot. Thank you very much, Dennis. And the item did pass unanimously. Next is item number 16, annexation to the Landscape and Lighting District for the Yorba XC project at 13404 Yorba Avenue, also called PL 20-0029. This is to approve resolution number 22-081, ordering the annexation into the Landscaping and Lighting District 2002-1, annexation zone number 91. open the public hearing and ask for a staff report from our Assistant City Engineer, Jesus Plasencia.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. On April 19, 2021, the Planning Commission approved PL 20-0029 for the construction of a 325,300 square foot industrial building located at 13404 Yorba Avenue. The conditions of approval for the project require the construction of public improvements along the property frontage along Yorba Avenue in accordance with the City Municipal Code. The conditions of approval also require the owner to annex the property into the city's landscape and lighting district to levy an annual assessment for the maintenance of street lights located in the right-of-way along the property's frontage. There are two steps to annexing a property into the city's landscape and lighting district. The first step was completed on July 5th, 2022, when the City Council approved resolution number 2022-039. This resolution declared the city's intention to annex the property into the lighting district and also approved the engineer's report, which estimates the annual assessment to be levied for the streetlight maintenance. The second step in the process is conducting the public hearing tonight. The owner has filed the required petition to be annexed into the landscape and lighting district and also filed an assessment ballot in favor of the annexation with the city clerk. The annual assessment for the property is estimated to be $208.95 for the first year. The actual assessment will be based on actual costs, which is subject to change annually to account for maintenance and energy costs, changes up to the annual consumer price index for the region. Therefore, city staff recommends that the council approve resolution number 2022-081, ordering the annexation of PL 20-0029 into the landscape and lighting district number 2002-1, zone 91. That concludes my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the council on item number 16? Okay, seeing none, then I'll close the on 17. I'll close the public hearing. Any council member questions or comments? None. Okay. At this time, we're ready to call for a motion and a second to approve resolution number 2022-083 and 2022-084. We have a motion from Councilman Flores, second from Mayor Pro Tem Lucio. Item passes unanimously. The resolution just adopted calls for a special election to approve the formation of the Community Facilities District number 2022-1. Angela, our city clerk, will you please open the ballots? I am really goofed up tonight, aren't I?
You announced the item correctly, so the vote is appropriate.
I did, didn't I?
Yeah. We're just moving on to item 17.
Public hearing on number 16. A motion is second. Is that for 16? Still stands? Okay, and it passed unanimously. You know, Christmas gets me all excited. I'll tell you what, it's been a great night, but it's rattled my poor brain. Okay, now we'll move on to item number 17. Oh, I am a mess. Hang on here. All right, this is formation of Community Facilities District number 2022-1, conducting a public hearing regarding the formation of Community Facilities District number 2022-1 in the Preserve. I'd like to declare the public hearing open and ask for a staff report from Nadine Lowry, our Fiscal Services Manager. I apologize, Nadine.
No problem. Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. In November, the City Council adopted Resolution 2022-077, declaring the City of Chino's intent to establish Community Facilities District 2022-1 located in the Preserve. The establishment of this CFD will allow the city to levy a facilities tax and a service tax. These taxes will be used to pay for the required infrastructure as well as public services, which are also required in this area. Tonight's actions are to adopt the required resolutions for formation, call for a special election, and immediately hold the special election, tally the results, and then approve the introduction of the ordinance to levy a special tax within the CFD. It is recommended that the City Council adopt these proceedings as outlined by the Mayor this evening. That concludes my report, and I am available for any questions.
Thank you, Nadine. Now, is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the council on item number 17? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Are there any council comments or questions? Okay, now, at this time, we're ready to call for the motion and second to approve Resolution 2022-083 and 084. Motion from Councilman Pocock, second from Mayor Pro Tem Lucio. That item passes unanimously. The resolution just adopted calls for a special election to approve the formation of CFD 2022-1. Angela, would you please open the ballots?
With the election to form CFD number 2022-1, and the election has now been closed. The results of the election were unanimous, 21 votes in favor of the proposition. Thank you.
Having heard the statement of the city clerk, I'll now entertain a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 2022-085, certifying the results of the election along with the introduction of ordinance number 2022-019, authorizing the levy of a special tax and the bonded indebtedness within the district. Motion from Mayor Pro Tem Lucio, second from Councilperson Comstock. And that item passes unanimously. Mr. Galante, would you like to read the ordinance by title only?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council, and all those present. The City Council considered adoption of Ordinance 2022-019 entitled An Ordinance of the City Council of the City of Chino, California, acting in its capacity as the legislative body of the Community Facilities District number 2022-1, Fallon Crest, of the City of Chino, authorizing the levy of special taxes within the district, and that was adopted by title only and waiving further reading. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, and it did pass unanimously. Okay, now we move on to new business. Item number 18, Civic Center Master Plan. This is for consideration and adoption of the Civic Center Master Plan. I'd like to ask for a staff report from Vivian Castro, our Deputy City Manager.
Good evening, Mayor, Council members, and members of the audience. For Council's consideration this evening is the adoption of the City of Chino Downtown Civic Center Master Plan. Given the actual and projected growth of the aging and vacant Civic Center facilities, City Council directed staff to develop a Civic Center Master Plan that identifies the facilities needs in the Civic Center, particularly as they relate to the administration and operation of city business and services, as well as the needs of the community. This plan is also to address these needs, define the Civic Center's scope and role as the heart of Chino, and support the economic well-being and vitality of the city. So these are the project goals. The scope of the project includes assessing existing facility, evaluating the current and projected needs, not only for city staff and the delivery of municipal services, but also for the stakeholder groups in the community. The project scope would be to integrate the Civic Center further into downtown Chino, create conceptual plans for public and city council consideration, culminating in a preferred master plan, and providing cost estimates, recommendations on phasing, and the implementation funding options. The process is detailed in the appendix. Included conducting stakeholder interviews regarding future needs, conducting community outreach and surveys, developing design alternatives to meet these future needs, and selecting a preferred Civic Center Master Plan design. A cost estimate then was developed for this preferred Civic Center Master Plan in addition to the alternatives that were considered, funding options, and a phasing plan for the preferred design. The elements of the final conceptual plan provide for a civic campus, let me see if I can highlight some of these, for a civic campus that has an expansive central lawn that actually crosses both sides of Central Avenue. It has internal paseos.
Can you point out what is which is Central Avenue?
Sure. This is Central Avenue right here, and this is Chino. So it's for aesthetic purposes, it wasn't laid out north, pointing north. So this would be the lawn area, which actually then crosses Central Avenue. It would also include the restoration and expansion, and extension of 7th Street and traffic calming along Central Avenue. In terms of the new facilities that would be provided, there would be a new City Hall east of Central Avenue that I'm pointing to, a performing arts center west of Central Avenue with indoor-outdoor multi-purpose amphitheater, a senior center, mixed-use library, and city archive facilities, as well as a variety of mixed-use buildings and housing. This final conceptual design also includes expansion of some existing facilities, including Carolyn Owens, as you could see here, and the 7th Street Theater. The existing library and senior center would be repurposed into a multi-purpose assembly space or banquet facilities, and there would be shared parking structures throughout. In terms of the cost estimate for this preferred plan, the total cost estimate, including soft costs such as design, project management, et cetera, would be a total of $413.93 million, and that includes all 4 phases. It does not account for any cost escalation or inflation over time. And there's detail provided in regarding the phases, but generally it involves a first phase demolition of the vacant buildings on the eastern side of Central Avenue, construction of the new City Hall, and the parking structure there, and expansion of Carolyn Owens, then demolition of the existing vacant facilities on the existing campus, and the construction of the new senior center, expansion of 7th Street, with the construction of the NAC, new library, and parking structure and renovation of the old senior center in phase 3. And the final phase recommended would be the construction of a performing arts center and completing the parking structure. In terms of project type, this is just the same breakdown of the project costs, but showing the cost of new construction, the individual buildings, the cost of remodel and additions, of parking, site work, preparation, and demolitions of the various buildings and facilities. In terms of the funding options that were reviewed by the consultant determined that implementation of about $300 million is within the financial reach of the city. Sources of potential funding include capital improvement budgeting, parks and open space funding, development impact fees, community facilities districts and community services districts, sale of surplus properties, and external sources, of course, such as Federal Transit Authority, administration grants, and other state and federal funding options and grants. Other options, of course, include how you package things, cost savings by combining components of the Civic Center with other city projects, such as those in the city Parks and Facilities Master Plan or the city's Capital Improvement Plan. And because of the multi-use nature of a lot of these facilities, there is a possibility for public-private funding sources that may also be available. And with the development of private portions of the Civic Center, they may also be funding for the proposed public facilities. So the recommendation is that the City Council adopt the City of Chino Downtown Civic Center Master Plan, which will serve as the foundation for future decisions and actions regarding funding and construction and development of the specific phases and facilities. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions. And I am joined this evening by the Gruen team, Larry Schlossberg, Orlando Gonzalez, Camille Parks, Leslie Scott, and Mike Parkin, and Billy is on the phone to answer any funding questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We do have one written request to speak. That's Greg Marquez.
Hello, Madam Mayor and Council. I went back and forth about commenting on this issue, but I've talked to a lot of my neighbors in the city who feel the same way, and I believe it's best to put our concerns on the record. These comments are not meant to be adversarial, but people have questions now that the plan is up for adoption. What I have learned from studying public policy is that any assessment of a public problem requires thinking about its causes, how it came about, and why the problem continues. One concern with the new Civic Center master plan is the timing with the looming recession and no financing mechanism other than raising taxes. I am trying to understand what the public problem actually is, in which we are told is the only solution is to tear down these buildings. City Hall was built in 1976. It's solidly constructed of concrete and steel, built with a full basement underneath and structurally designed for a third story to be built on it, as is the old police department building. So are we trying to solve a space issue? Are the buildings dilapidated? Are we concerned with the safety of the buildings? These are just some of the unanswered questions that I have. I think we can all agree they are not the prettiest buildings in the county, but why wouldn't a facelift and interior remodel suffice instead of a 30 to 40-year replacement and tear down? A second concern is with the planning of this project. I have reviewed the 1992 Civic Center master plan, and it appears that there was a lot of money spent on the design. Funding of that adopted plan came from general fund money and redevelopment funds, which are no longer available. I have learned that councils in the past did not follow the Civic Center master plan at all. Many millions of dollars were spent on the construction of buildings that were not included in the original plan, such as the Chaffey College building and the NEC. It seems like we're circling back to the same idea for a new Civic Center, but why? In addition, exactly how does a 3-story concrete parking structure fit with our supposed Old Town field design? I believe other organizations, I understand they're private organizations, but the Chino Neighborhood House and Isaiah's Rock also need locations. That's a different conversation. The old courthouse has been vacant since 2012, and the city purchased the building from the county in 2015. It has been vacant ever since. The old PD building has been vacant since 2012, and the old fire station has also been vacant for over a decade. It's my feeling that this plan will most definitely be approved with a unanimous vote tonight, and the funding plan with the new sales tax will be presented in the ballot during the next general election. However, what's the plan if the voters don't approve the new tax? How many more years will these perfectly good buildings continue to sit vacant or be demolished into a vacant lot? For time's sake, my concerns are limited to only a few, but I would propose a solution for this problem. I propose we send the architects back to the drawing board and repurpose these buildings so that we as a city can finally have a cultural arts center, a performing arts theater, and all of the proposed amenities in the plan utilizing the current buildings in place. Why can't we reevaluate our $1-a-year lease agreements and repurpose the underutilized Chaffey College buildings to ensure that these arrangements actually serve a public benefit? I think more of my neighbors in the city will get involved in this conversation regarding the Civic Center master plan and will make an educated assessment of this massive and questionable public investment. Lastly, when it comes time to vote on tax increases, the people in this city deserve to know exactly what we are paying for in this 40-year-plus commitment that history tells us will not likely come to fruition. Thank you.
Thank you for your input. Let's see, would you like to review, Linda, the fact that we did look at renovating these buildings and the extreme costs?
We did. As part of the process for the Civic Center master plan, when you renovate a building, many times it costs much more money than it does to actually knock the building down and start with a brand-new building. So looking to renovate some of these buildings didn't make sense financially for us as we worked through this process.
That was part of the evaluation, was
Yes, it
looking
was.
at trying to repurpose the buildings. This has been a long process with a lot of input. We have not made a decision on a tax item at all, on a sales tax item, so that assumption is erroneous. The funding of this the decision will be made over time should we adopt this master plan. But if you don't have a master plan on where you're going, then you have a tendency to do things hodgepodge. We can't afford that. And we do need additional buildings, we need additional space. There's a lot of things that we need downtown, and we've had a lot of input from our residents that they would like a place to go. They would like a larger library, they would like a better senior center. We've had a lot of input over the years, and especially about the theaters. So There's been a lot of time and effort put into this item, so I appreciate your comments, Mr. Marquez, but you do need to understand, please, that there has been a lot of effort put into this, and the public has been involved for quite a while. There's been a lot of public input on this master plan. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to address the council? That was the only written request I had to speak. Okay, council comments, questions, clarifications? Oh, Karen?
Mayor, I'd just like to add that I completely agree with you. I am a retiree from the city of Chino prior to running for public office, and I, as a retiree from the Chino Police Department, I worked in the building across the way that Dr. Ike spoke about, and not many people throughout their career will have the opportunity to actually, especially in government, move into a new building, and it was much needed for us. I had underwent probably about 7 or 8 renovations of the old police facility prior to us moving into what I consider a state-of-the-art police facility. In addition to that, providing us with much-needed technology advances and proper space and storage for our employees. It actually, moving into that building, actually propelled us as a department in order to help us perform more efficiently and serve our community better. Now, while I appreciate the comments that have been made here this evening, these buildings were built in 1975. We did do some evaluation of that. And we have to, it's really hard to sit here and think about what Chino is going to look like 30 years from now. And that's where you have to go with this. When my family moved to Chino in 1975, there was about 30,000 people living here, and we had a flashing red light at the intersection of Central Avenue and Riverside Drive, and a Winchell's Donut and Chuck Smith Chevron.
That's true.
So we move forward now, 35 years later, and look at the modernization and the report we got this evening about our city being a boom town. The difficulty and the challenge in this comes from really people sitting here in the present and understanding what we want to look like in 25 years or so. And I can tell you without a doubt that these buildings have served us well. They've been great, but now we have to figure out how we're going to program and help our community be successful in the future. And the challenge with that is we're going to be asking our staff to look for innovative ways for funding, because we haven't, as the mayor said, we haven't decided on one issue on how to fund this. There are other avenues which for us to help fund it, maybe not all of it, but also we know that our expenses in serving this community properly are going to grow over the next few years. Now, ultimately, that will be up to some of the taxpayers and how we do that. But that challenge comes from people sitting here right now who probably may not see the benefit of this project in their lifetime, including me. So what we're building this for is the future of Chino. We're building it for our children. We're building it for future performing arts people. We would be building it for what we want Chino to look like in our legacy moving forward, so that people come to recreate and do this if we decide to do that. So I am passionate about the plan, but if we decide to not do the plan, it's okay, we'll get something figured out. But really this is, like the mayor said, we have to have something to show the residents why we would ask for them to buy in on this journey with us. And I think there is a larger public education component that can be helpful in understanding, if we make these asks of the public, what it is we would be investing on. And what we'd be investing on is the future and the vitality of Chino. Do we need all of this? Do we need a majority of it? Hey, we can still talk about those things. But there is no doubt, if we want to return that charm and that downtown feel and things that we want in Chino in the future, including proper retention and proper working spaces for our employees so that they may continue to serve our community appropriately, I think it was well undertaken, short, Mayor. So thank you very much.
And the phasing may be actually very different than what's the recommendation as we move forward. A lot of that's going to be dependent on the funding, on what we decide to do, how we do the phasing and what's the most efficient way. There are a couple of options of buildings that we've looked at, older buildings, to buy and repurpose for other things. That may affect how we phase this. And like you said, we may not do all of it, but you need a master plan moving forward so that you ensure that there's cohesive development and you know where you're going. You have to have a roadmap. Otherwise, you just go willy-nilly.
Mayor, many of us sitting on this council were executive level leaders in our professions for many years. And that is part of what we do as leaders of our community, is help plan for the future and help people understand where we want to arrive and what we want to look like in several years.
And the public had a great deal of input into this master
Absolutely. The public wants a lot of the things that have been asked for in this plan, so that's my comments, Mayor. Thank you very much.
Any other comments, council members? Chris?
Yeah, just a few things. One thing I do know is that, if this is adopted tonight, one thing that I kind of, I keep with me is that, at least my belief is that this plan is, it's a living document. It's not something that's set in stone, number one. Number two, I can give you an example, a few things that I've mentioned before, and maybe some of you may have the same concerns, maybe some of you may not, but is just the whole, conversation regarding the theaters and the Performing Arts Center. Maybe we may have too many in this plan, or, maybe we are purchasing some property, as the mayor had mentioned, and we may continue to keep purchasing property. And just with that in mind, it's the idea that, again, this is a living document, and as time goes, as time progresses, and as trends change, so will this plan, and so will those fireworks.
Whoa.
Yeah, but
It's the boomtown, Chino.
it's the boomtown.
That was good. Okay. All right, then, I would entertain a motion and a second, then, if council wishes to adopt the plan. Motion from Mayor Pro Tem Lucio, second from Councilman Pocock. Item passes unanimously. Item number 19, purchase of real property at 12921, 12923, and 12931 Central Avenue. This item is to adopt resolution number 2022-087, authorizing the purchase and sale agreement with Chong Soo Yi and Randy K. Yi for the city to acquire those properties that I just mentioned, that are addresses 12921, 12923, and 12931 Central Avenue, which actually is the old Chino Theater. I'd like to ask for a staff report from Fred Galante, our city attorney.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council, and all in attendance. The city learned of the availability of property located on Central Avenue near the intersection of Riverside Drive. The property is actually comprised of two separate parcels that total 20,448 square feet. The main building on the properties was formerly used, as the mayor mentioned, as the Chino Movie Theater, and now being used as a t-shirt outlet. The second, smaller building hosts a massage and spa business. Both structures total approximately 12,306 square feet. The city secured an appraisal for the parcels from the appraisal firm Dover Spike and Associates, which valued them collectively at $1,850,000 as of April 11, 2022. Based on council directive, the staff negotiated with the sellers of the property, the owners. Negotiations were stalled as the seller sought significantly more than the appraised value. Following several communications between the owner and verification of the basis of the appraised valuation, the seller ultimately agreed to a price that was within the city council's authority provided in closed session. The price ultimately agreed upon represents an amount that's equal to 10% above the appraised valuation, and that covers all other costs for relocation or any other expenses as a total settlement amount of $2,035,000. The property is anticipated to be repurposed for use by the city as a cultural and performing arts facility if the city council agrees with its acquisition. The acquisition of the property allows for the preservation of the old Chino Movie Theater in addition to the city's recreational facilities and programs. Per state law, the city's planning commission has to consider the acquisition of the property and confirm that the acquisition of the property and use as a proposed cultural and performing arts center facility is consistent with the city's general plan. Last night, the Planning Commission approved the finding of conformity with the city's general plan by a vote of 4-0 with 3 commissioners absent. Pardon me. With that, we prepare the proposed purchase sale agreement. The seller has agreed to the terms, and I am happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Fred. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the council on this item? Okay, seeing none, council comments or questions? Karen?
No, ma'am.
No? Okay, then I would entertain a motion in a second. Motion from Councilman Flores, second by Mayor Pro Tem Lucio. Item passes unanimously. Item number 20, consideration of the establishment of a residential parking permit area within the Parkside Village community. This item is to consideration to set a public hearing to establish a residential permit parking area within the Parkside Village community. Our staff report this evening will be provided by our city engineer, Dennis Rawls. Dennis?
Good evening once again, Mayor and City Council. The theme for me tonight is parking, and continuing with that theme. The request before you tonight is to set a public hearing should the council desire to establish a preferential parking area within the Parkside community. The vehicle code allows us to, by ordinance or resolution, set aside areas of local streets for preferential permit parking, particularly in residential areas. Our Chino Municipal Code, Chapter 10.29, defines what residential permit parking is and how it's established. Currently, as we stand today, this tool in our toolbox has been utilized primarily around schools. Chino High School, Don Lugo High School, Ramona Junior High School, and Walnut Elementary School. But tonight's request is to establish the first residential permit parking area not for school-related use. The issue before you tonight is that the Parkside Village community is kind of a unique community. It's located off of Yorba Avenue, about midway between Riverside and Chino Avenues on the east side, shown here depicted in yellow box. It's surrounded by residential, and particularly to the south by a couple of apartment complexes. Staff has been working with the community on several issues of concern by them, and primarily of excessive parking near the entrance of their community. This community has a single entrance of Doheny Drive off of Yorba Avenue. And through several site visits and investigations, we've determined that a lot of the parking that occurs here tends to be from what we believe the apartment complexes just to the south. So in working with the community over the several months and years now, we've done some things to try to help. We've reduced the amount of parking that's been restricted previously on Yorba Avenue by removing some red curbs safely to allow for alternative parking for the apartment residents. Yet the issue has still been prevalent. A petition was received by staff, and then staff has been in contact with the HOA that manages the property, and then has received confirmation that they have voted to proceed with permit parking community-wide. Now, there is some, in reviewing the code for permit parking, staff did discover some inconsistencies and some concerns that we will bring back as a separate item later in early next year. But for tonight, it's really just taking a look at the included staff report, the memo and survey that outlines the findings that the council should consider whether or not to move forward. The study takes a look at how the parking has occurred. With, as I mentioned, staff have visited the site several times on different days of the week, different times of the day, including at nights and over the weekends. You may remember there was a special council session where we talked about this previously. And at that time, there was a resident that spoke about making sure we visited on the weekends to see the impacts that they had at that time. We did, and certainly those impacts are prevalent at that time as well. In the study, the findings that we've determined is that about 50% of the vehicles, over 50% of the vehicles that park in this community tend to occur by vehicles that do not belong to residents of the community. Parking was observed to be quite condensed, especially around the entrance near Yorba Avenue, blocking pedestrian ramps, parking on corners, blocking sidewalks. And the issue does seem to be worse at night and on the weekends, as I mentioned. It's also been determined that establishing permit parking in this neighborhood is very likely to address these concerns. And even though, as alternative parking still exists on Yorba Avenue, as we surveyed the community to take a look at the level of parking that's occurred, we, at the same time, also observed the available parking in Yorba. And there's still significant parking available in Yorba to accommodate where this parking would hopefully be moved to. As I mentioned, there's a single point of access. There's concern that the condensed parking near the entrance can cause a hazard, especially for emergency access or evacuation, should the need arise. And so in reviewing all of these findings, staff has determined that enough information exists, enough evidence exists for the City Council to consider moving forward at this time. Should the Council agree, the next step would be to, to consider conducting a public hearing, which we would recommend being set for January 17th, 2023, at which time the City Council would formally consider the establishment of a permit parking in this neighborhood. That public hearing would require public notice. We would publish twice in the Chino Champion, as well as post the site. As part of the code, the City Council also has the option to ask staff to mail notices to all affected residents. And so with that, tonight, the City Council is asked to make a recommendation on whether or not to set a public hearing for January 17th. That concludes my report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the council on item number 20? Seeing none. Council comments? Walt?
I have a couple of comments that probably be more appropriate for the January 17 meeting, but I won't be here for that, so may I give those now?
Sure.
Thank you.
You can still come to the meeting. You just have to sit out there.
I feel that all of these houses have 4 parking spaces, 2 in the driveway and 2 in the garage. And I passed through there myself 3 times since we got the staff report. And I noticed a large part of the garages don't have room in them for the cars. So those folks, if they have more than 2 cars, have to park them in the street. So that's one problem that should be handled before we start patrolling the streets. And I also noticed that the issue only happens like the map shows here, and it's just like less than half of the project. So it just seems like we're gonna put some kind of a program in here for the whole project when only half of the project is having problems. And this will cause many other communities, if this passes, this will cause communities to come flooding in here, I think, to want to have parking restrictions within their own communities too. So I don't feel like this is something that we need to go forward with. Thank you.
Well, thank you for your input. Any other council comments?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Walt. I mean, you have an apartment complex that is just 1 street over from this, so we can't really say that they're not residents. I mean, they're just 1 street away. But if we restrict that parking in that area, that's just going to move people to park in the neighborhood next door to it, and then we run into the same problem, where maybe that community is going to want restricted parking. And unfortunately, when we put high density like apartments or even homes, like for example, the homes that are located between Fern and Euclid, north of Schaefer, those homes don't have enough parking. So those people tend to park on the other side of Fern in that neighborhood. I think if we start doing this, we're going to start setting a precedent where different communities are going to say, well, I don't like those people parking in front of my house. We also have that problem in the Preserve. We also have that problem in College Park. So I think this is just opening up a can of worms. I mean, these are public streets. If they are blocking driveways, or if they are blocking sidewalks, then by all means, I think we need to go out there and start citing folks or towing cars to make sure that that isn't happening and that it's not causing a hazard. But I think if they're legally parking on a public street, I think that's something that we need to continue to allow people to do. And I think if we start doing this for this community, we're going to be asked to do the same thing in other communities, and I think we're just going to open up a can of worms. That's all I have.
Okay, any other comments?
I have a comment, Mayor.
Karen?
So I might be a little of an outlier on this issue, Mayor and members of the council, in that I think this community is a little unique in that the way it's laid out, and that they have some of this density around them. This community has been trying for a very long time to have ample parking in front of their houses without being impacted by some of the density that's around them. They've actually worked with the apartment owners and advising them about certain parking restrictions, or on the caps or even in front of fire hydrants there. And I think I would be very frustrated as a member of this community to have this situation. We have permit parking in other areas in town, specifically around schools. And there is, I think, ample parking in certain areas for some of those residents to park, but because of the convenience, it's a little easier for them to park there. So I was kind of a sympathetic ear to these residents when asked about it. So, and moving forward, there may come a time where, because of how this community is situated, where we may want to consider that moving forward. I don't think this has to be a blanket approach to every area, but I don't think it would hurt us in the future, upon request by residents, to look at some of these and determine whether or not permit parking was appropriate. We do that around high schools during school period time, different times of the day. I don't see the harm in asking for residents who have their parking spaces in apartment complexes to park in those appropriate spaces so as to not impact their neighbors. So this is a tough one, but I think we could look at these moving forward and opine that it's appropriate in some places where it may not be appropriate in others.
Well, parking has been a sore spot for me for a long time. A lot of our staff members will agree with that. I have nagged on this for a long, long time. I don't think we require enough parking in dense areas, and the more pressure we have from the state to build even more compacted density, like the 30 per acre, which still is just astounding to me. Our parking requirements are short, and it's causing problems throughout our community. I know the developers scream and holler because the more parking we require, it's harder for them to build the square footage that they think they need to break even or make a profit. And I understand that dilemma as well, but we're building these densely intense developments and not creating enough parking for people. I know the forward-thinking developers and the planning type people say, 15, 20 years, 25 years from now, we won't need cars anymore. That we're going to be using Uber and that sort of stuff for public transportation. We're never going to have transportation like Washington, D.C. and even L.A. and Sacramento. We're just not going to have that out here. We're in the suburbs, and people travel to their jobs. It's impractical to think that we're ever going to get to the point where we don't need our cars. Walt, I understand what you're saying about the concern of the garages. Yes, it's supposed to be a place to park, but I don't think legally we can restrict that. I know there are homeowner associations on apartments that require, I know Homecoming is one that require people to park in their garages. But we do live in America and we do have freedoms, and if people decide to pack out their garages with furniture or whatever, or goodies or whatever they want to do with it and park outside, that's entirely their prerogative. So I'm inclined to say we need to move forward with the public hearing and hear the people out maybe the apartment complex people will show up as well. But I think we need to lend a sensitive ear to people that have problems actually created by the development that we have allowed, where there's not enough parking in the intensely dense areas. So I think it's up to us to try to help these folks out. And I agree with you. I think there may be exceptions where it doesn't fit, but there may be areas where it does, like around the schools. You know, so there may be situations where we need to lend a helping hand. Chris, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I have a question. It says here over 50% are non-community vehicles. What does that look like numbers-wise? How many vehicles is over 50%? Do we know?
It was really tough to tell because we're making assumptions that vehicles are accurate and current, say in their registration, to determine whether or not they actually belong to residents of the neighborhood. In this, the quick little drive-through survey that we did, I believe in the area or nearest the entrance, it was something in the order of the I'm trying to get numbers. Of the 60 cars that were parked there, 40 of them were determined not to be belonging to the residents. Now, that 50% number was of the entire community, because in that entire community, there were still other people parking. You saw in that image, that red area is really where the concentration of this issue is, which was why the HOA vote was kind of important, because this whole community had to band together to say, yes, we understand this problem exists in only half our community, but the entire community was willing to band together and say, if this occurs, we're willing to take on that burden. Because it is. This is not something that's the city-driven. This is community-driven. This is the community asking for that issue. So I would say that around the area, it's more than 75% of those cars are for non-residents of the community.
And second question, you had mentioned that of those cars, there is ample parking there on Yorba Avenue. If we were to implement this, at the public hearing on the 17th, there'd be ample parking on Yorba Avenue to accommodate all those vehicles that you speak of. Is that right?
Yeah, we believe so. Again, it's hard to tell because not knowing the exact number of cars that are actually using the community, it would be tough. But our estimates are that there's still plenty of room on Yorba. Plus, we're unsure of what occurs actually inside the apartment complex, whether this is opportunity parking because some of the residents that live closest to Yorba, this is simply a more convenient option, or whether or not they truly don't have room inside the community. I wasn't able to actually go inside or anything like that and take a look at what the inside looks like while we're looking at also how the parking's being used in the community. So that's kind of a tough judgment call there.
Now, the apartments themselves have a right to tell the people they have to park and use their garages because they're rental units. Mm-hmm. So that certainly might be an option for, the apartment management to kind of do a survey also on are they using their actual parking facilities.
And Dennis, I just have a quick question. If you can put the picture back up of the location. So if you notice what you have drawn here in the red, it looks like other than the one house, the rest of that one whole area is all park. So the residents don't even want people parking in front of the park?
Well, and it's interesting, in this neighborhood, that's a private park that's completely maintained by HOA, so it's not even a public park in this neighborhood, but yes,
And when you say so like College Park, the HOA pays for that park, but it's a public park. Anybody can go use it. So you're saying that outside of the people that live here, those are the only folks that can use that park? Or is it maintained by the HOA, but it's a public park?
It's my understanding that this is a private park maintained by the HOA.
Okay, so it's not like College Park?
It's not like College Park.
Chris, did you have more? Well, I would encourage us to go ahead and move forward with the public hearing. I think this is requested by that development, and I think they have a right to be heard. They're homeowners. I think we owe it to them to hear their concerns. So I would encourage a motion and a second to move forward with the public hearing. There's a motion from Councilmember Comstock, second by Mayor Pro Tem Lucio. Please vote. The item passes unanimously, so we will move forward with the public hearing. Item number 21, award of contract resodding of sports field. This is to award a contract to Southern California Landscape Incorporated, Fontana, California, in the amount of $527,556.15 to resod various city sports fields, including 4 soccer fields located at Iola Park. Staff report this evening will be provided by our Acting Public Works Services Manager, Mr. Ben Orozco.
Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council. Tonight for your consideration is an approval for a contract for resodding of sports fields. Public Works and Community Services Department is responsible for maintaining acceptable sports playing fields services for our community. This requires regular and comprehensive field preparation, such as mowing, fertilization, irrigation, and cultivation. However, since our soccer, baseball, and softball fields have been subject to wear and damage through the years, resodding of the sports fields will continue to provide a safe playing environment to the players and create fields that are of a high caliber. Public Works has received recommendations from Community Services that soccer fields 7, 8, 9, and 10 located at Ayala Park are in need of resurfacing this fiscal year. The scope of work consists of removing old sod, laser leveling, fertilization, and resodding. The fields will be protected by temporary fencing throughout the work process and sod establishment period. On October 11, 2022, the city formally released a notice inviting bids, which were published in the Chino Champion and on Planet Bids. On November 1st, 2022, staff received 3 sealed bids for the proposed project. The proposal included the completion and total cost for all services necessary to fulfill the requirements of the specifications. Southern California Landscape Incorporated has been determined to be the lowest, most responsive and responsible bidder. References regarding Southern California Landscape Incorporated indicate that the firm has the knowledge and experience required to perform the resodding of the sports fields and various parks. Therefore, it is staff's recommendation that the City Council award a contract in the amount of $527,056.15 to Southern California Landscape Incorporated to resod city's various sports fields. The contract term is for 1 3-year period with the option to extend for 2 additional 1-year periods. Should the City Council approve this contract, it will be anticipated that the work will begin in early February of 2023 and the project will be completed by mid-May 2023. Next fiscal year, staff is scheduled to resurface 2 additional soccer fields at Ayala Park, along with 1 softball and/or baseball field per Community Services recommendation. That concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Ben, if these are going to be completed between February and May, and then there's 2 additional, why do we have a 3-year contract?
There's 9 total fields. So we didn't do any this year. So we want to catch up, get 2 fields per year is the plan. But since we didn't do any this year, next year we're going to do 4 in 23.
So you're locking them into the cost now?
Yeah. And
so
then
it doesn't escalate?
Every year we want to do 2 soccer fields to get a full cycle within the contract of every soccer field.
So this is really a multi-year contract?
Yes.
Okay, now I get it.
And then next year we'll do 2 fields and then we'll pick baseball or softball field, depending on recommendations, Community Services.
Are we going to impact any of our teams?
During this time period, there is minimal impact, but everybody's aware of that. So there's not a huge impact during this time.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the council on this item? Okay, seeing none, council comments? Okay, then I would entertain a motion in a second. Motion from Councilman Flores, second from Mayor Pro Tem Lucio. Item passes unanimously. Thank you, Ben. Item number 22, professional services agreement for engineering and design services, project number WA231. This is to award a professional services agreement with Hazen & Sawyer, Irvine, California, for engineering, design, and bid support services for project number WA231 for wells 4 and 6, the treatment plant project. Staff report this evening will be from our PI Engineering Manager, Maria Frazier.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members, and audience. The item for your consideration this evening is the award of professional service agreement for the design of a new water treatment facility for 2 existing wells, wells 4 and 6, which is also known as Project WA 231. These 2 wells have been inactive since approximately 2013 because their water production does not meet the required drinking water quality standards. Together, they produce approximately 1,700 gallons per minute. The new centralized treatment facility will be constructed on a city-owned property located on the southeast corner of Carter Street and 4th. The scope of the work will include the rehabilitation of the 2 wells and the design of the pipeline connections of wells 4 and 6 to the treatment facility. The facility will treat approximately 2 million gallons per day, and it will incorporate granular activated carbon, also known as GAC, filtration vessels, ion exchange equipment, and associated infrastructure to treat the groundwater produced. On August 3rd, 2022, Public Works staff solicited proposals via Planet Bids for engineering design and bid support services for this project. And on August 31st, 2022, staff received 1 proposal from Hazen and Sawyer from Irvine, California. Staff evaluated the Hazen and Sawyer's proposal based on the qualifications, experience, project references, understanding of the assignments, work plan, and demonstrated technical ability as described in the request for proposal, and selected the proposed consultant within the guidelines of the State of California Government Code and the city's purchasing ordinance. The consultant's proposal also included some additional optional tasks that staff deemed not necessary at this time. It is staff's recommendation that council approves the staff report with the recommendations indicated. The design of this project is expected to start around mid-January 2023 with an estimated design completion of fall of 2023. This concludes my report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Maria, totally from design to end of construction, when do you think this whole project will be finished?
Well, we're still looking for funding opportunities for construction, so we're looking for grant opportunities, and I believe that we have this scheduled in 26, 27 fiscal year.
So it's going to take quite a while.
It's still going to take a little while. We can probably do it sooner if we get opportunities. Speaking with one of our consultants that is helping us identify grants, there may be some opportunities for water grants coming up.
What are the contaminants that we're fighting, so to speak?
The same that we have, I don't remember exactly the terminology, but it's the same contaminants that we've been facing on the other wells and East Side Treatment Facility. It's the same.
TCP 123.
TCP 123, yeah.
Okay. All right. Are there any questions from the audience or comments? Comments or questions from staff or staff, council, of staff?
I just have one. I just wondering if the treatment facility is there now, or and you're going to upgrade it, or you're putting in a brand new one?
It's a brand new treatment facility that's going to be located on city-owned property. The wells are existing to be re-equipped, and the pipelines will be routed to the new treatment facility.
So it's in a new
It's a
space.
brand new space, yes.
Okay. Well, thank you.
It's near the yard.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And then there's talk that there's going to be changes in the contaminant levels moving forward, so who knows what else we're going to be facing. Thank you very much. Okay, I would encourage a motion in a second to start this project. Motion from Councilman Flores, second from Councilperson Comstock. Item passes unanimously. Next on the agenda is mayor and council reports, and I'm going to skip a report this evening due to the time. And I want to thank everybody for coming out this evening. It was really, really nice, and I want to compliment Public Works. The Christmas tree absolutely looks phenomenal. You did a great job. It was fun to see it light up, and I like the little twinkly lights, and it's just gigantic, and it looks great. So thank you very much for a good job. Mayor Pro Tem Lucio.
I'm going to do the same. I'm going to go ahead and skip mine. I do want to thank staff for making that tree a lot better. I used to call it the Kona Lights, but it looks a lot nicer. It's got a star on top, and it does have a tree in there that twinkles, which really,
It's pretty.
yeah, made it a lot nicer. Even my wife said, hey, we can, if that's the way it's gonna look, we can go with that as opposed to a real tree. So I appreciate the hard work. I appreciate the poinsettias in the front. I think that made it look really, really nice. And I just think, I like the changes. So, thank you.
It's because we're a boom town.
Boom.
Councilperson Comstock.
Mayor, I'll follow suit. I just want to make a few comments to the community and staff about tonight's agenda. There were a lot of things tonight on the consent calendar that are propelling us forward. We shored up some things with a local business owner that our staff has been working on for a very long time, including additional design reviews for expansion and traffic flow on Pine Avenue. Just a lot of work being done in Chino by our staff, including some final acceptance of public improvements that we've asked staff to work on with some of our local businesses, this parking issue, and our downtown master plan. This entire council and staff likes to see itself as results-driven for our community, and we are certainly closing out the year this year by doing a lot of these projects and seeing success on them and moving forward. So I just want to thank our staff for that. The tree is amazing tonight, and the addition of the lights to certain areas, including the entrance to City Hall, is greatly appreciated. Everything, including the addition of the plants, is pretty. It's nice to come to City Hall and make it look like the holiday season has arrived. So thank you. And again, congratulations to all the photo winners tonight and Vince with Chino National. And thank you to our consultant as well. I know they're still here. They stayed for the whole meeting with the master plan, so thank you. Just a lot of good work happening, and we couldn't do it without our staff. So staff, thank you so much, and keep up the great work. We'll have one more meeting left in the year, go dark for the rest of the year, and get back in 2023 and get ready to get work done. So thank you.
Councilmember Flores.
I have a long report, so buckle up, Mayor.
Oh, come on,
No,
Christopher.
I'm kidding. I'll follow suit. I just do want to say that during the Thanksgiving season on the I believe it was the 19th, if I remember correctly. I just remember driving around town, and there was just a ton of Thanksgiving events happening around town, and I just felt overwhelmingly blessed to be a part of this community. And I just thank you to everyone who served turkeys and food. I think everyone in the city of Chino got a couple turkeys and a lot of food. So God bless you all.
I'm glad you brought that up, because part of that interview was about the giving heart of this community that makes it so different. We talked about a lot of things that make this community very different from others. Yeah, very special. Thank you. Councilmember Pocock.
Thank you. This is my last report.
You can be as long as you want.
I won't belabor this, but I've really enjoyed and appreciate the honor of being able to serve this community for the last 28 years. And it's been great, and we've seen a lot of successes and have had a lot of battles, had a lot of struggles. But working with the staff has been great. The staff has always treated me great. And fire, great to work with, fire staff. And I just can't say enough about my career here with the city. It's about a third of my life, a little over a third of my life, serving the city. So I really, I'm going to miss a lot of things. Like one of my assignments is a senior birthday party. I really enjoy going to the senior birthday party, and I kind of relate with those folks. And many other things of my assignments I really appreciate, and I really enjoyed doing that. So to Curtis, I hope I wish you the best, and appreciate you stepping up to take over this chair here. And I'll be looking forward. I'll be around. I'm not going away. I'm still going to do the corn feed run. I'll be there for that. So thank you very much for your support and your friendship. It's great. God bless everybody here, and thank you, Mayor, for allowing me to do this.
It has been a pleasure working with you. It's been an honor to know you and Dee for many, many, many years. You're very special, Walt. Your heart is really with this community. That shows. You care a lot. You've put a lot of your heart and soul into this community. Now, you can still go to the senior birthdays with me.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
maybe I'm going to assign you that anyway. But thank you very much for all of your years.
Thank you.
City Manager Reich.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. First, I'd like to thank our Chino team who put on the tree lighting tonight. That's really a team effort. Most departments get involved in that. We had a little bit of a challenge to make that tree look like that, and I will say Public Works and Almer and Maria really did a good job enhancing that tree for us this year, so I appreciate that. But there's more to come, so be prepared for next year because you're going to see more enhancements to this event. I'm also glad the Gruen team is still here. It has been a pleasure working with you over the last 3 years, and yes, it was 3 years of work. We had a little stall during COVID. It won't be right not getting an email from Orlando every 2 weeks like I've gotten over the last 3 years. We appreciate your work. We look forward to implementing this plan moving forward because like the mayor and council said today, you can't get to where you want to be if you don't have a plan. And this plan is going to get us there, and we really appreciated working with you and to Vivian and to Carolyn and to Nick, who were on that committee for the last 3 years working on this. We want to thank you for your work. That's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Fred, City Attorney's report.
Thank you, Mayor. No report. Just want to thank Councilmember Pocock for his dedication to the city, and I've appreciated very much working with you.
Thank you.
Chief Simmons.
Thank you. I'll make this quick as well. I just want to remind people that though this is the holiday season, it also is a time that thieves are afoot. Our personnel couldn't be more proud of the work that they're doing right now. In fact, we did a retail theft operation on Friday and arrested 6 people. We did that in conjunction with the California Highway Patrol. So thieves, if you're coming to Chino, we're watching out for you, and it doesn't matter where you live. We're going to go to those cities and arrest you. And in fact, those 6 arrests, 5 of which were from people outside of our community. Wow. So I'm very proud of the work that they're doing. Walt, yes, we're going to miss you up here, but I'm looking forward to, as the president of the Kiwanis Club, getting you more involved in our little club and see what you can do. So thank you all.
Wes, is there, we see these horrible smash and grabs, whatever you call them, where these people gang into a store and grab a bunch of stuff and run. What can our local businesses do to prevent this? Or what should they do if it happens?
Well, first and foremost, having good surveillance system, good cameras that we can identify people with. Of course, our license plate readers help us because if we can get a vehicle, then we can track them down, and that's how we catch many of these people is through their vehicles. Also, just having an awareness for business owners and people who work in stores. If they see something suspicious, you can call us ahead of time. You don't have to wait for the person to actually take the property and run. You can call us, we can get there, and then hopefully stop them before they commit that crime.
Is there, I know we have neighborhood watches, is there any kind of commercial neighborhood watch where companies can watch out for each other? Like if this happens in a shopping center where they can call the stores on their sides and get them to watch for the vehicles and descriptions?
Yeah, we do. Through our community outreach unit, we do connect with business, especially a business that's been targeted more than once. We will meet with them and provide them tips, and we're willing to meet with anybody who wants to meet with us. And of course, we work with the chamber as well to provide this information through the chamber.
Because these multiple people that go in and do that, it's just horrible.
It absolutely is.
It's just horrible. I don't care what your situation is. Stealing is never right.
Right. I agree.
So with their new shopping center, Chief, you were talking about the success of some of our technologies. Will we be implementing some of that technologies at the ingress and egress of those to help us? And can we approach some of our existing shopping center owners and have them adopt those technologies too?
Absolutely. And we certainly are working public-private partnership. We have new locations that have offered to give us their cameras, access to their cameras, and we welcome that, and we have that capability. And anybody can put up their own license plate reader and provide that data to us as well, and we encourage companies to do that as well.
You know, I want to mention something. Bob and I shop at a store that's outside of the city of Chino.
What?
I know. Well, we just do. But it was interesting, while we were there, we were talking to their security guard, and I noticed that in their city they put up a mobile camera. So I was asking the security person about it, and what I learned was pretty horrifying. I don't think we're having it happen here, but just in case. This particular center, people leave, just unbelievable. They leave a note on the car to distract the owner, and they've had people stolen, taken. You know, they get distracted, and then someone drives up real quick and grabs them. It's just, it was beyond belief. So they have partnered with their police department, and they have these mobile units up there now. But it's just, what's happening is crazy. It's just crazy. Or they'll put a note on the windshield to get someone distracted, or they hang something on the door. So if they had one lady that went to her car, there was something on her, and they had been warning people, and she went immediately back in the store, and so they came out with her to get her in her car. So, you know, if you see something strange on your car, don't get in.
Absolutely.
I don't think we're having that happen here, but the way the society is working, you just never know. So if you see anything strange at your car, notice anything under the tire, anything that is out of the ordinary, do not get in your car. Go back in the store and ask for someone to come out, or call.
And that's one of the things that we find is people are reluctant to call the police department. And this is a number every resident should commit to memory, and that's 628-1234. That goes directly to our dispatch, 24/7. We welcome any call, and if you're not sure, just call, and we'll help people through that. I think one of the things that we're blessed here in the city of Chino is you as a council has given us the resources to have the personnel out on the streets. And that's one thing. You drive through the city of Chino, you're going to see police cars. Not every community do you see that. We're out there. The criminals know it. We have the technology to help us catch them. Many of them are people who are on probation or parole or have previous criminal history and are not being held accountable through the court system. You know, but here in the city of Chino, you get caught, we're taking you to jail, and they can deal with that. And we're trying to put together the best cases we can to keep them in as long as possible.
Well, thank you for your efforts. It's just what you hear that happens in other communities is pretty horrifying.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jeremy, you're here instead of Dave.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. Jeremy Alton, the Deputy Chief with the Fire District. Just a few words. 'Tis the season. Looking forward to seeing you. Our firefighters will be delivering lunches to the seniors day after tomorrow, Thursday, for the Chino Senior Delivery right next door here. We're really looking forward to that opportunity. Additionally, next Wednesday will be our Make a Child Smile event, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. We take 100 kids from the school and take them on a shopping spree with a whole host of agencies, and I know I've seen you all there before and looking forward to that as well. I do agree, the tree outside, amazing. But speaking of trees, for those members of our community that enjoy the holiday season with a fresh cut Christmas tree in their home, I just want to remind them that a dry tree is a dangerous tree. So please keep candles and sources of flame away from those trees, and please keep the water in the bottom of the tree to keep that tree moist and avoid that very dangerous fire hazard this Christmas season. And finally, on behalf of the entire fire district, Councilmember Pocock, Walt, thank you very much for your service. We know there is no greater call than the call to serve, and we appreciate you and the example that you set. Thank you, sir. Good evening.
Thank you, Jeremy. With that, we will adjourn to a week from tonight, December 13th, for a special meeting that's going to replace December 20th. We'll start closed session at 6 if necessary, otherwise the regular meeting starts at 7. With that, we are adjourned.